So what's up, guys? This is like my first time making some content in like a week and a half, maybe, probably longer. But have y'all noticed this last week and maybe a half, maybe 2 weeks, I had like nothing to say, not one thing to say. You know, I for like the last 3 months, I was pretty much producing content every day. It might not have went on Facebook, but it went somewhere. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the stuff I just never released. I make a lot of content that I just never do anything with, and that's for a good reason. But it's time to hit the gas pedal on that again. Because guess what? I got my busy schedule out of the way. My busy work schedule out of the way. It was crazy, man. Let me tell you all about it. Man, that's all I got to say. I just told you all about it. It's man. That's it, man. It's just man. And I still got a pile of stuff left to do. Literally a pile, like a big pile of stuff left to do. But I want to thank one of my longtime best friends, Damo Modo, because he exposed something to me, man. I was talking to him like a year and a half ago about something. I think it might have just been last year, probably around this time. Around this time after New Year's is usually like busy season for me, you know, and then it kind of dies down right after the summer. Like as soon as like middle of August get here, it's kind of when the whole thing died down, and right after New Year's is when it's like, whoosh. So I was talking to him about that last year. I told him that I was just way too busy to do anything I ever even wanted to do. And he was like, Corey, that is a good problem to have, dude. Like, I remember like 6 months ago, you were saying something about how you wish you had more to do. And now you got more than what you want to do and you mad? That's a good problem to have, dude. And I'm like, you know what? That's true. That really is a good problem to have. And so, but one of my New Year's resolutions was that I didn't want to be busy this year. I really didn't. The only thing I really wanted to be busy with is doing the work that God called me to do. That's what I want to be busy with. But everything else is stuff I just would rather fit in where it gets in. You know what I'm saying? So, but I do want to say this though. I got a whole lot of making up to do to my kids. So I'm probably gonna have to put up with being busy for a little bit, because now that the guy back on his feet, man, the first thing he want to do is make sure that his business is in order and things like that. So I got a lot of making up to do to my kids, like dead serious. Like I felt so freaking bad, man. I'm like, dude, like that was the biggest part about, the last little bit of, fire I took was, man, but my kids, like my kids get into Christmas and stuff like that. I don't get into stuff. Like I don't get into Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's. Half the time I don't even celebrate my own birthday. But I know that my language isn't everybody else's language. So, I might have to wrap something up and just kind of set it on the porch, ring the doorbell, and I'll probably pat people on the head and all, but no big deal. Patting people on the head like you the Pope or something like that. Kissing babies and all that. Like, I'm crazy like that, but enough of a little introduction. But y'all know that song Surrounded by Upper Room? That's my favorite song right now. Dead serious. That's like my favorite song, bro. Dead serious, bro. It's my favorite song right now. It's actually my theme song right now. That song, bro, I used to listen to that song, but I never really, I used to hear that song, but I never actually listened to what they were really saying. And the reason why I never really, it's like I heard it. Yes, I know, I can hear English, but I don't, like I just now felt it though. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the song right there. That one is the song right there, man. It really is, man. Because each and every experience I have, man, God will always show me that you really don't need to break your back trying to fight battles. The only thing you should be breaking your back with is praising and thanking me and serving me with all that you have. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And it's like every one situation that transpired, I believe that more and more. But if you ask me, I believed it all the way at first. That's what we always think. We always think we believe 100% at first. And then until something happened, you like, I really believe now. And then something else happened, you like, I really, really believe now. And then something else happened, you like, I really to the power of 3 believe now. Like, you don't even want to add that much more reallys in there because you'll start losing track of how many you're saying. So then next time you like, I really, really to the power of 2. Some crazy stuff, man. You just start making up stuff on your way. Like, you know what, God, I ain't gonna say nothing else this time. I ain't saying nothing. You already know I believe you now. Like, do I really gotta say it? You know what I mean? But that's just how stuff work, man. Like, and I knew for a fact, man, when like things go on and stuff, like I say to myself, like, this isn't my first time at the rodeo. Like, I seen this last year. I seen this the year before last year. But this time, I already know what to expect. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, man, we like to go through our little battles and stuff on our own and just be silent and quiet about what's going on with us. And then I realized it wasn't until I opened my mouth about exactly what was going on with me that things change. Not because people knew, but because God was waiting. God was waiting. He was waiting on something. And I'm going to tell you what he was waiting on. He was waiting on forming an opportunity to let his glory be known. That's serious. Because what if no man knew? And then God changed everything. That would have been a very great opportunity down the drain to be a witness to how great he is. Dead serious. What if I would have kept my struggle a secret and just waited on God to change stuff? That would have been an opportunity lost for his glory to be made manifest. You know what I mean? And think about Job. His whole story was written in the scriptures and passed around for thousands of years. You know what I'm saying? Like what if Job would have went through that battle privately? None of his friends knew. Nobody knew. None of his family knew. Well, he lost them all, so, what if that would have happened? We would have never, maybe Job's friends would have never learned to examine themselves. You know what I'm saying? The people that were a witness to what happened, they probably would have never, ever humbled themselves and said, God, you truly are amazing. You truly are a good God. You really are. Because Job's friends, man, they was sitting there talking about, well, maybe you just sinned. Well, maybe you peed him off. Maybe you just ain't doing good enough. Maybe The Lord and the enemy thought it to be a wise idea that just happened for a particular reason. Maybe that's what happened. Well, maybe you just ain't do something right. Maybe you ain't do it right enough. Maybe you didn't work hard enough. Maybe you didn't take enough responsibility beforehand. Maybe you just... Maybe... maybe... There's two gods at war, and I'm just a man stuck in the middle. Maybe that's the case. You know? And sometimes, man, you ask yourself, like, man, like, how is it that all of these people already know that a lot of things happen to us don't always happen to us because of what we didn't do right? You know, sometimes they happen to us just because that's what God thought was a good idea for the moment. You know, it's like we can all sit here and be Bible believers. We can all sit here and you know, and pass scriptures around to each other. But soon as somebody going through something, it's a, oh yeah, you just, oh yeah, yeah, man, you just, yeah, maybe you just ain't doing a good enough job. Man, like, don't you know that at situations like Joseph being sold into slavery do happen? Maybe situations like Job losing everything in a day do happen. You know, maybe things like, maybe all that stuff happens for real in our lives today, as if the scriptures are dead or something like that, right? No, not at all, man. And God's not dead either. And he's still doing the same stuff today as he done back in Genesis. He's just not creating new earths right now. So, oh, he's not creating any more new animals right now either. So, but I just want to say something, man. The last week, maybe week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks, probably, no, I can't say month. But I will say like couple weeks or so. I really couldn't do any, like I couldn't say anything but to thank God. I started a couple of videos that were going to be part of a series that was on my YouTube. And I actually said, let me not say that this is what I'm going to do, because chances are, it sounds like a good idea, but it's just probably not going to work that way. And that's kind of what happened again. So I actually got to go and make part 2 and 3 to a couple of things on there. But I just didn't have nothing to say. Nothing. Not one thing to say at all. And I got so used to just making content like every day. Like the moment I stopped making it every day, I kind of felt like I was just missing something. You know, it's not that I was taking some kind of break or something like that. But sometimes we just got to go back and charge up. You know, it's like the more and more we put out, the more and more we pour out. Sometimes you just need to go back and charge. You know, go back and experience life again with new eyes. Not that, you know, I was not experiencing life at the same time. But sometimes we just need to, you know, charge up for a minute and make sure that, you know, we sit down and examine ourselves and make sure we're actually doing what we're preaching about, and, you know, making sure that we're not being a hypocrite in some kind of way. You know, Paul said that I buffet my body daily, lest after preaching the gospel, I myself become a castaway. Lest after preaching the gospel, I myself become a castaway. You know, which means that, you know, even things you practice, you know, you preach what you practice. You don't practice what you preach. You know, people got it backwards, you know, but sometimes the things that you practice, that you do preach, man, the enemy, he can always come back around and try and use that same thing that you try and use that same thing as some kind of temptation or something like that. And the thing about temptation is that it never goes away. Like, you would never be delivered from temptation. Like, you know that, right? I mean, you might be delivered from wanting to do something. You might be delivered from wanting to go through with doing something. But having a button pushed just doesn't go away. That's just not how it works. You know what I'm saying? So, hold on, man. I gotta make sure. I gotta see something real quick. I gotta make sure that this isn't trying to record me on my Bluetooth, or else I'm gonna feel real stupid, because that would mean, okay, my Bluetooth is off. That means y'all can hear me. It's not connected outside of my car. After 16 minutes, you finally want to investigate that. Man. But let me tell you something, man. You know, the Psalm said that he prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. After all that, I say this. This is what the video was about anyway. I just wanted to talk for a minute. But the Psalm said that he prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. And that's a real thing. Like, you know, that's really real. Like, he really does do stuff like that. And as strange as it might sound, like God, I don't want you blessing me in their face. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's like, don't you think that's being rude? Like, but he sit back and he remind me of all the times that, you know, nobody thought it was rude when I was being taken from. You know, nobody thought it was rude when I was being taken advantage of. Nobody thought it was rude when I was being gossiped about. Nobody thought it was rude when I was being treated with so much disrespect and being put last all the time. No one thought it was rude then. So why think it's rude now? You know, I felt something on the inside of me, man, and I almost had a bit of a disagreement with the Lord on that, because I'm like, but I just don't want to feel that way. Like, I don't want to feel rude. But he's like, dude, listen, this is something you just gonna have to get used to. Like, for real. Like you're just way too polite to a fault. Like, really. It's something you just gonna have to get used to, bro. It's a war out here. It is. And you can't apologize to the enemy for shooting them. Dead serious. Because they won't apologize for shooting you. You know, metaphorically. You know, that's just the way it is. The devil don't trip you and then say, I'm sorry. I didn't know that you were one of his children. I'm so sorry about that. That's not what he does. You know, he trips you and laugh about it and say, ha, some God they serve. And God sees that. We might not know that that's how it is. Like, we might not know that people look at us that way. Every time we trip and have a fall, the first thing they want to do is point at some God they serve. And God is going to take vengeance on that. Not for me, but for his sake. Like, for his own name's sake. You know what I'm saying? Every single time, you know, something transpired, the first thing that people want to point at is the God you serve. And you want to know what? I'm glad y'all can see that. I'm glad y'all can notice that there's a God involved. Whether you think about it wrong or whether you think about it right. Whether you're a naysayer or a supporter or a brother or a sister. Or just an inquiring mind that, want to experience what it is that we have. You know? But the enemy never apologizes for what he does. And he never will. In fact, he'll be cast into hell still thinking God is the bad guy. Still. And the Lord will literally show him everything that he did to deserve his punishment. And he'll still go in cursing the Lord and saying, you're such a bad guy. Because that's what he wanted him to be all this time. Because he wanted to be the one worshipped as a God. There's a lot of people in this world that cannot stand you having a God. Because it confronts the fact that they never can be. To you. You know. It's a lot of people in this world that get offended at the fact that you spend hours upon hours praying instead of doing everything else. They think that you think you better than them or something like that. And it don't got nothing to do with comparing yourself to anybody. You just love God. You just love Jesus Christ. You respect what he did on the cross. You know? And you know that his power and his glory is real. And that ain't nothing to be missing out on. For real. So what? He prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. And this is how I fight my battles. Dead serious. I used to fight a lot of battles, man, by, meeting people with the same energy they meet me with. I used to fight a lot of battles being passive aggressive, being cynical, going behind the scenes and being a fox. I used to fight a lot of battles by using worldly wisdom, such as, I ain't gonna talk about all the stuff I know. I mean, that's dead for real. Everything I know is as good as garbage except the Lord, man. Dead serious. But I used to fight a lot of battles in certain ways that don't apply here. That might have got me somewhere back then, but now that I'm under another law, it doesn't work for me that well. I will always lose every time I go about doing it the earthly way. Because that's not God's will for me at all. In fact, he'll make sure I don't win, just to show me that's not what I want you doing. The moment I meet people with the same energy they met me with, they have the advantage over me. And as much as I studied the subject of warfare, like pretty much all my life, I'm like obsessed with wars and like armies and things. I don't know why. I've always have been. Like, you can ask my brothers. Like, everybody want to watch That's So Raven. He's somewhere trying to watch Saving Private Ryan or some crazy stuff like that. I used to always rent all the war and army movies from Family Video, and we stayed in the Ville. And my brother over there renting a game. I'm like, man, I want a game too. Call of Duty, right? Yep, Call of Duty. There we go. But this is better than a game. You ever just sat there and played a game and said to yourself how cool that would be if this was real life? Now, I want to explain this in a way that only very few people would understand. Okay? If this sounds off the wall to you, it's because it's not meant for you to get it. But this is almost like that. I mean, it's the most real thing you could do in your life, but it's still almost like what you experience playing a game. Like it is. It's like it's got the same but better sense of fulfillment as literally getting into a game. It really does. This is like you just walked into level 1. Like I'm not playing level 1. I walked into level 3. Like, you know what I mean? And every single level you go up, man, it's always going to be a whole new challenge. It's always going to be, with every level comes a new devil, they say. But it's always going to be another challenge to overcome. Every time God bring you up a notch, there's going to be a Goliath to take out of the way. And sometimes, man, those Goliaths to take out of the way are not always people. You know? Sometimes it might be something in you that's incompatible for where God is taking you. You know what I'm saying? It might be certain decisions that you need to stop making that's incompatible for where God is taking you. You know, the giants are not always on the outside. Sometimes, well, most of the time, they're on the inside. Like, believe it or not, giants are not always things you can see with your eyes. Sometimes they are right in here. And when we get took to that new level, man, it's important that we displace the inhabitants of the land so that they don't turn around and become a snare to us. And if it takes you too long to displace the inhabitants of the land, by the time you get settled into the promised land, you're already at war with them when you could have just been at peace and dealt with them when you had to, when you should have. You know, so make sure you remember that. If there's something in you that you know might not be compatible for where God is taking you, just deal with it. Or else it can ruin a lot, and then you still have to deal with it. So you might as well just deal with it, you know. There's a lot of things we can always work on. We'll never be flawless. Even though that's God's final will for us, just to be like Christ. But this is how I fight my battles, man. Praise and thanksgiving. That's why I ain't had nothing to say. I've been so thankful, so happy, so excited. Just enthralled, completely enthralled. And just in love with what God is doing, and just in love with his nature, just in love with everything about him. You know? It's crazy. Like, how can a person be in love with a God they can't even see? Is that even real? You take that Jesus stuff too seriously, bro. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Dang it. Oh, man. Yeah, my funny laugh. I just can't get it out. Sorry, I embarrassed myself for like 3 seconds. But maybe one of these days I get it out and you'd be like, oh, that's what he was trying to do. But this is how I fight my battles, man. It is. The Old Testament will show you a whole lot about how to fight a war. And then the Holy Ghost will actually reveal to you how to do that in the spirit. Because a lot of their wars were in the flesh. I mean, not like in a bad way in the flesh, but they were like in person. They had real people to go to war against. But now we're here, and wars look different than how they looked then. You know, we don't have arrows and stuff like that to fire off. And we got praise and thanksgiving to send up. That's what we got. And when God knows that you trust him with your life, he'll be able to take you places that you couldn't have went before that. All he ever needs to know is that you trust him. The moment you trust him and he knows that, he already knows, but you need to know if he knows. You know, so that way whatever do and don't happen, you know why. You know? But the moment he knows that you trust him, it's on and popping from there. On and popping, bruh. Shouldn't have said it. Shouldn't have said it. We finna turn all the way up. Shouldn't have said it. Shouldn't have said it. We gonna turn this fire up, throw some pepper on that steak, flip that boy, and yeah, we gonna turn this up, man. And that's good. That's good. When the Almighty God has his hands on a puny, imperfect man. What in the world? Sometimes I be thinking about that, like, this is the best deal in the world. Dead serious. This is the greatest thing in the world. You know, forget what God is doing. But the fact that God is God and he cares enough about you to do anything at all, man, that's cool. That's better than the president coming and knock on your door and personally hand you a stimulus check or something like that. Corey Lee, that's for you, buddy. That's my Biden voice. But oh man, it's so much better than that, man. It is. And what gets really good is when God give you a promise that he literally told you and you know that and you actually witness it firsthand, exactly how he told you in the spirit. You like, so that wasn't just my own good ideas running wild. That was really God for real. Come on, man, you knew that already. I mean, yeah, I did, but you know, I always gotta make sure I ain't tripping though. You know, always gotta make sure I ain't tripping. I mean, you know, all you gotta make sure. You know what I'm saying? Always gotta make sure I ain't tripping. But no, I mean, you already know you ain't tripping. You know when God telling you something, man. Don't play like that. You already know, or maybe you don't know. You know, but if he says anything, he's gonna make sure you heard him. Because that way there'd be no excuse. You know? He gonna make sure you heard him over and over and over again too, if that's what it took. So that way there'd be no excuse for I just didn't understand, or I just didn't know, or I didn't know for sure, or it's like, man, like this is the year of just being sure. This is the year of being sure and the year of just being straight up. Just be straight up. Yes or no? Just be straight up. Are you with me or you're not? I don't got time for everything but yes that means yes. I just told this to somebody. It's funny. But the reason why I had it fresh on my mind to be able to tell them is because I had to have that conversation with myself. Had I not had that talk with myself, it wouldn't have even crossed my mind to even point that out about them. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't even cross my mind to point that out. I'm like, why don't you just be straight up with me? You know, is it yes or no? Not everything that means yes, but it's just yes or no. You can say yes first and then everything else. But don't say everything else but not yes. But mean it as in yes. You know, the Bible says to let your yes be yes and your no be no. Anything more than that comes from the evil one. If your word is not enough, then forget it. If your word is not enough, then nothing's enough. If you got to swear on your kids, then I'm sorry, you're of the devil. You know? And if anybody got to make you do more than say yes or no in order to believe what you're saying, then they're of the devil. That's what the Bible says. That's of the enemy. That's what it says, man. You know, that is definitely what it says. And I certainly need to keep that fresh on my mind from here on out. Because as much as I practice letting my yes be yes and my no be no, every now and then I might find myself in a situation where that becomes a little difficult. You know, becomes a little difficult. So, but I want to say this. He prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Everybody who's a child of God will always be protected by their father. No matter what happened. Something bad can happen, but it ain't gonna kill you. Everybody who is will have his protection. And sometimes things will look real bad. You know, sometimes people will have stuff to say about you that sounds really bad. You know, that make you look in a way that you're really not. And sometimes, man, that's just the way it need to be. Because how else are they going to learn that God is who he say he is? Their minds are already set at war. Then guess who else's was already set at war? He said, think not that I come to bring peace, but a sword. I've come to turn the daughter against her mother-in-law. Wow. I've come to separate. At first I came on a donkey, but now I'm coming on a horse. A white one. A pretty white one. Strong too, maybe with a little, one of them little muzzles on and whatnot. Or a little fancy war decorations and stuff like that. Maybe with a side carriage and all that. I don't know, man. I don't know. I got an imagination. I promise you I do. I be sitting there reading scriptures, just imagining how that looks. And I just be sitting there just getting deep into it like, I wonder what the Father looks like. Is he actually fire? Or is he just like something that's metaphorically like fire? And what would that possibly look like? Is he just like a big ball of light? No, he's got to actually look like a person in some kind of way, because the Bible says that he made us in his image. But his image can mean a lot. It can mean a whole lot more other than what it looked like. Can. But this is just how I fight my battles, man. Sometimes it's best to just keep quiet. And sometimes it's best to speak up. Sometimes it's best to forget it. But it's always good and proper to make sure that you forgive. Because God won't fight a battle for you that you haven't forgiven someone for. Because you know what? He'll be okaying your sin. And unforgiveness is a sin. So if there's a battle going on in your life that you want God to do something about, you got to first forgive the people involved. Because they don't know any better. They just don't. I never thought that I would ever live in a world where people really are this old and know no better. Can't even understand what they did 5 minutes ago. Don't even remember what they said 30 seconds ago. Can't even bring back to their memory what they just heard 5 minutes ago. And we live in this age, man, where if our gospel be hidden, it's hidden to them that are lost. For the God of this world has blinded their minds. Pharaoh's heart was hardened on purpose. God hardened his heart. He ain't make him, but that was Pharaoh's choice. But Pharaoh, he took a choice he couldn't come back from. He shouldn't have made the choice. That was his fault. Like, he knew he should have let them people, do what they want. He knew he shouldn't have been trying to enslave them people. But he did. And God was displeased with that. And he sent a man with 2 men and a stick. He sent 2 men and a stick. Just, hey, Pharaoh. Hey, man, how you doing? I was just wondering, you gonna let my people go? I ain't coming here to yell at you or nothing like that, but I do want you to know that slavery's bad, And we just want to go give a sacrifice to our God. How about that? I mean, we'll come back, but we just want to go sacrifice to our God. How about that? No. No. I cannot tolerate you people strengthening your hand in the faith. So many people in this world that literally act a fool around you right when you are strengthening your hand in your faith. Right when you strengthening your hand, the enemy steps up and say, hey, I don't like all that. In some kind of way, he'll say it. You know, it could be in the form of anything. It can be in the form of anything. You got to watch out for stuff like that and catch on to patterns and cycles like that. Make sure that you ain't wrong when you see that. Don't judge matters too soon. Take your time to make sure that you know what you're doing. Because all it takes is one decision to send you in a complete circle for years. It does. And all it takes is one decision for God to turn your life around overnight. Overnight, bro. All it takes is one simple decision to make in the back of your mind, well, the front of it too, and maybe the middle. Wait, no, I don't think brains work that way. It's left and right, right? I don't know. I don't think it's back and front. It's left and right, isn't it? It's left, right, and you got the thing in the middle that kind of look like another brain. But yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. But yeah, man. All it takes is one simple decision to say, yes, Lord, I'll do it. Yes, Lord, I won't do it. All depend on what decision you need to make. Sometimes it's about what you don't need to do. Sometimes it's about what you do need to do. Sometimes it's just about forgiving. You know? That's not a thing you actually do like with your hands or nothing like that, but it is a decision that we all need to make if we want God's presence to be in our lives the way that He desires for it to be, you know. But man, this last week and a half, whole lot has been going on. You know, how do I say this? Well, let's just say that God has blessed me, man. God really has blessed me. He has. I don't even know where to start. He really has. Almost every area where I was lacking, He filled the hole. All I had to do was make up my mind that I'll go the way that He wants me to go and not turn around for any reason. But sometimes when we turn around and make opposite decisions, it's not always because we just want to disobey God. Sometimes we can sincerely believe a lie. Like for real, for real. And then He got to send you through something to break that lie in half. Like, hey, you believe in a lie, bro. I'm going to show you this again and again and again and again and again and again. And I'll show you this again and again and again. The enemy know how to twist some scriptures, bro, don't he? That's why you need to stay in that word. Because if you don't, he'll always play on what it is you don't know well enough. I mean, you could have heard it before, but do you know it? He plays on stuff like that. He do. I noticed that. I get the greatest, I used to have the worst attacks on my mind when I first got saved, all due to things I have not read yet. In the moment I opened up that Bible and read it, the attack on my mind went away. because the enemy knows, yeah, your time up on that one, bro. The time is up on that one. You got to come up with a new trick now. He knows the truth now. And the Holy Spirit also tell you what the truth is, but he also want to confirm everything by at least 2 or 3 witnesses. You know, you at least want to confirm it all by 2 or 3 witnesses. Why do you think that there are 3? It's a reason why he do it that way. Symbolic. Symbolic for a lot. He's stamping his DNA even in our decision making. He got his DNA stamped on it. It's crazy. I mean, you look at stuff like turtles and pineapples, and he's got his DNA stamped on that. Like, you can literally see his glory in everything. You just got to pay attention. Even in the situations you go through, you can see his glory in that. You just got to pay attention. Sometimes we get so caught up on the problem that we're not even paying attention to what God is doing. And that's not what he wants. You know? This is about to be a real strange year for a lot of people. It's already strange to me. The moment the year started, everything turned around. Everything got different. Everything. Everything turned around. That's crazy. I just sat there looking like, this is crazy. I looked at this just as crazy as I looked at everything that I was actually experiencing beforehand. I'm like, this crazy. Then God does something great. That's crazy. Man, is anything not crazy? Well, I don't know. You ask me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't know. I should be asking you, like, for real. Is anything not crazy? Like, you know, give me one normal thing. You know, I mean, just one common thing. I don't see too much common stuff, man. Not anymore. You know. But this is how I fight my battles, though, man. Praise and thanksgiving. You know, a lot of people been messaging me this last week and a half. I'm so sorry, y'all. I really am. I've been extremely busy. I got photos to edit that I need to catch up on. Man, I just had like 3 rental properties to clean out. A couple of my buddies, needed somebody that was gonna actually take their time with it and not just run in and, get all the visible stuff up and then, push everything up under the carpet or whatnot. Like, how some people is, man. Like, long as it look good, that's cool. Like, no, I don't want it to just look good. I want it to be clean. Like, I want to be able to eat off this floor. I don't just want the dirt up. I want the germs up too. And any odor causing bacteria. I mean, for crying out loud, somebody else has to move in here. Would you want to move in there like that? Like, no, you wouldn't. So, however you want to move into a house is the way you need to clean them. That's just the way I be doing it. It be taking me forever, bro. And sometimes I'll look at these houses and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's like I can get that done in like 20 hours tops. No, it mess around and be 50. Like, you didn't put in 50 hours. Like, I mean, not literally, but I mean, like, you might look at it and be like, oh yeah, I can get that done in a day. You mess around and take you 3 and 4. But I had a lot going on since New Year's, man. We talking about church services. I didn't been to like 4 church services just this week alone that I couldn't miss at all. And so a lot of stuff kind of got behind, but I don't look at it as behind when I'm actually being fed spiritually. I look at it as I'm actually getting ahead while some things are just being left alone. And then when I go back to it, glowing in the dark, we catch up to speed, But let's not forget, man. Let's not forget that God fights our battles. The things that we go through sometimes are ordained by Him in order to teach us things. And you just got to trust that God love you. That's it. Just trust that He love you. You might not like what you're going through, but just trust that He love you. And if you can trust that He love you, then what you got to worry about? And as much as I can say that, it's not easy at all. That's hard. It's the hardest thing you could ever do. It ain't the hardest, but it's still not easy. But sometimes He just want to build a track record of trust, so that way He can prepare you for greater things. That's why little things pop up in your day or in your week. And it's just a reason to build a track record of trust, because I got something even greater that I'm going to have you experience that you need to be ready for, and you can't go in it with any form of doubt. That's why I let you go hungry. And then the moment you open up your mouth and said, Lord, please feed me. I'm starving. I don't have nothing else I can do about it right now. And then as you sitting in your car, somebody walk up to you. Hey man, I just ordered too much McDonald's. You want a burger? Hey, don't think I ain't seen stuff like that way too much. Way too much. I see that stuff so much. Usually when I'm struggling. Usually when I'm having a weak moment is when I see all them great things that God do. Like, what? You mean to tell me I got free food all week from Burger King? All week? I didn't even have $1 and I'm full all day, every day. All week, free Burger King. That's awesome. I've seen it. I've been in that. You know, sitting here trying to figure out, do I want to spend my last $5 on gas to get to work, or do I want to spend it on food so that I can work? It's sticking in the gas tank, right there at the gas station. Hey man, you want a slice of pizza? I'm about to throw this away. I don't want it. I'll take the rest of it. For sure. I just ain't want to be wasteful, bro. Hey. I've been in a lot of situations like that. I have. I've seen it. You know? But, you know, there's going to be a lot of warfare going on this year. In the spirit, for real, in households, on jobs, in neighborhoods. It's going to be a lot of warfares this year. And we need to get our war boots on and prepare to fight those battles the way we're supposed to. And let Him do the rest of the work for us. Because if we try to fight them battles, we'll never have time to work for Him. That's why He do that. That's why He say, I'll fight your battles. Because I don't want you working on that and not working, doing what I called you to do. I don't want you wearing yourself out on trying to prove somebody wrong, or trying to prove yourself right or innocent or nothing like. Man, forget that. Forget that. You know, I gave up on a lot of that. A whole lot of that. You know, usually I would have been quick to try to prove myself to, you know, I ain't interested in that no more. I didn't even think I was the first time, but then I saw it. I'm like, you still got something to prove, don't you? You need to stop having stuff to prove. Just love God and do what He told you to do. Everything that you can prove here is going to burn. So leave it alone. Every point you can make right now is going to burn unless it's for Christ. Everything you can be right about right now is going to burn unless it's for Christ. Everything they say you're wrong about right now is going to burn unless it's for Christ. Every name they call you is one day not going to exist anymore. So you can count that as just as good as dead as it will be in the future. And just move forward. Forget what they say. Because chances are they don't even know what they're talking about. They just want to hurt somebody and make somebody as mad as somebody made them. And sometimes we need to understand other people's feelings about certain things. That's why I don't like hurting nobody. Because I'm really empathetic, you know. I am. It's like I can feel people's feelings ahead of time. Or the feelings they're not telling. Like, I can feel that. I can feel that. But I want y'all to understand that this is how you fight your battles. You make sure that you stay in God's will. And don't let nothing pull you out of it. Because that's not hard to do. It's not. I'm telling you that it's not hard. You know, to allow something or somebody or somewhere to drag you into the flesh and become the total opposite of what the scripture said you ought to be like. That's not hard. You got to be careful. You got to guard your heart. Make sure your heart isn't already charged with so much of a particular emotion. Don't let your heart be charged with emotion. Overcharged with emotion. Because an overcharged heart is liable to do and say anything. And God would rather us have self-control so that way we can make decisions with a clear head. Not an emotional head. Our emotions matter, but they shouldn't be running the show. Anytime you let feelings run the show, the devil's there. I promise you, I kid you not. I kid you not. The enemy love it when somebody running their feelings. You know, somebody's running their life through their feelings. You know, somebody's making and breaking friendships because of feelings. Somebody's making and breaking truces and promises because of feelings. And God is sitting here like, well, I got feelings too. And, you know, I just feel like you need to just quit feeling so much. Like, for real. I got feelings too. Nobody think to hurt like, nobody think about mine that often. I think about God's feelings a lot. I do. Because I know he have them. If the Holy Spirit can be grieved, he has feelings. Dead serious. Now, is God subject to act on his feelings? No, he's not subject to act on his feelings. He's not a man. He's not a woman. He's not a child. He can feel nothing but hatred towards somebody and still show them love. He can choose not to act on how he feels. Dead serious. He can choose to forget how he feels. He can choose to forget what you did or said. Like, that's a lot of power. You can literally erase your own mind whenever you want. And I'm sitting here looking at you like you knew what I did yesterday, and you looking at me like ain't nothing like that happened. You know what I mean? I just don't understand. I had a dream about Jesus when I first got saved. And this is when I was going through a tough time. A real tough time. And I was so mad and frustrated. I was actually mad at God. I was. I was so mad at God. And I said, what is the use of all this stuff if all I get is punished for everything? What is the use of trying to do good if everything just get destroyed as a result of it? What kind of sense does that make? You know, and I literally went and got drunk that night. It was about 4 or 5 years ago. And I went to sleep drunk, mad, angry, mad at God, wondering why he didn't do anything about it, wondering why he let this happen to me, wondering why. I was still pretty ignorant on things, but when I went and got drunk that night, that wasn't an ignorant decision. That was a choice that I made because I was mad at God. I said, what's the sense? And crucifying the flesh and all this other stuff on a daily basis if all I get is my life made hard because of it. This isn't even fair. I mean, dang, I can't even catch a break. I mean, for real, like if you really wanted me to, you know, believe you loved me, like why is the first thing you want to do is allow trouble to happen in my life like that? I was literally saying things like that, bro. Ignorant. And I went to sleep that night, and I had the most sobering dream. I should have woke up hungover because of how much I drank, but I woke up totally sober and scared as heck. And there were these spirits. It kind of looked like, I don't really know. They kind of looked like white shadows. Like they still had like faces and clothes, and I couldn't really comprehend exactly what the spirits looked like. But I comprehended completely what Jesus looked like. And there were these spirits, and they were all standing before the throne. And one of the spirits was saying, I think what happened was everybody was standing. No, that couldn't have been it, but one of the spirits was mad or scared. You know, one of the spirits was frightened, like so frightened that he could not believe he seen Jesus. Like he almost wanted to throw up in his own mouth because it was real. And all he can say is, woe is me, woe is me. I am so undone, is what he said. Not prepared to be here right now, but I'm here now and there's nothing I can do about it. And I was sitting there, well, I was on my knees, and I had my head bowed and I was on my knees, and I heard a voice talking, and I looked up, and there was what I thought was the Lord. Like, dead serious. I still believe that to this day. Like, as much as I've grown up since then, I still literally believe that was the Lord. Let me tell you what he was wearing. He was wearing a blue and gold high priest outfit. And I had no idea that that's what the high priest outfit really looked like. I seen it in a dream. And when I actually started to read the Bible, and I started to, read them passages about what the high priest outfit need to look like, I went on Google. I'm like, let me see what this actually looked like for real, for real. Whoa. Blew my mind, bro. Blew my mind. I don't got nothing to lie about. I mean, I could have just not said this, to be honest, but that's what really happened. And he looked at me and he said, I understand that you don't understand, but I am the one that's fighting for you. And the dream ended. It wasn't nothing more than that. And I thought he was going to send me to hell or something like that. And he just met me with kindness. Knowing what bitterness was in my heart. And he still met me with kindness. But his eyes looked like he was mad. Like his face looked like he was mad. But his words came out differently. It just goes to show he has feelings. And he's not subject to act on how he feels. He don't have to act that way because he feel that way. The same thing go for y'all. Me too. You don't have to literally act like that just because you feel like that. You know you got power over that, right? But only in Christ. If you don't have power over acting, if you don't have power over your actions due to your feelings, then you might have to examine whether or not you're saved, because the Bible said that the Holy Spirit give us self-control. Like you can be mad to the core, but that don't mean you got to go flip everything around. Unless you really got to, then that's different. What Jesus did in the temple when he flipped over the tables, that should have been done. But man, lashing out at people because they made a mistake, man, chill out with all that. Where God is going to get you. Dang, I forgot to do the funny laugh. I can't. I tried to do it like 20 minutes ago. But that's all I can say, man. The year just started and everything's doing a lot better, everything. And I'm sure some things are going to get worse, but God is going to be there much more. So be ready for something like that. Because I got my war boots on right now. Got my war boots on. I got plenty of war boots. I don't wear his boots. I don't like tennis shoes all like that. I've never been a big fan of them. I do too much hiking. But yeah, fight your battles, man, with praise and thanksgiving. I've been literally thanking the Lord nonstop for a week and a half, just thanking him nonstop. That's all I can do is wake up. God, I'm so happy. Thank you. Oh God, you really did it this time, didn't you? And he like, wait a minute, man. Hold on. I respect that and all. But you do know there's still going to be some challenges. I just want to make sure you guarding your heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand how happy you are, but consider to whom much is given, much is required. So, yes, this is what I did for you, but you still need to prepare your heart to, to keep on moving up and forward. You still need to prepare your heart for the possibility of some unforeseen trial you have. Hey, do you have 10 on Cash App? No, I got 10 in cash. I can just give it to you. Still need to prepare your heart for that, man. And so I'm just trying. I'm like, it ain't nothing I got to try not to do. But what God do for you, don't make that an idol in your life, because he can take it. That's what I was trying to say. Whatever God does for you, don't make it an idol in your life, because he can take it or he can test you with it. He can pull back a little bit just to see how you respond. And I know what that feels like. So sometimes I got to watch, my attitude regarding things that happen in my life and people and places and stuff like that, because everything's not going to be here anymore at some point in time. Okay, I guess it's time for me to go. Time for me to get out of here. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how... Hey, that's my song, bro. That's my song, man. That's my song. That's my freaking song, man. It is. That's my song, dude. I can't help it. I've been ready. I just been ready, man. I've been sitting somewhere in a secret place like, Lord, please, Lord. I just want to do something, like, you know, like, Lord, like, it's getting a little boring out here in this world. Like, I'm ready to go take the castle, When we gonna go take the castle, It's like, Corey, you ain't even ready right now, man. Just chill out. Just finish studying, finish reading, keep being a student. And we'll do something. Just sit at my feet for a season. And then we'll work. Then you can do it all over again. Then we'll work. Then you can do it all over again. And we can work. Or you can just do it all at the same time. No big deal. But, stop being so eager to do something. You need to be eager to make sure you're prepared to do something. Because it's going to be too much to do. But very rarely will you have time to get ready. Once things take off, it's go time. That's what I've been learning, man. Be ready for go time at any time. Just go time. All right, yep, let's go. Boom. Yep, I'm out. Yep, let's go. But yeah, like I was just saying, yep, I'm out. I'm about to go. So, yeah. I think I got too many teeth. I can't even unsee that now. I can't even unsee that now. Man, let me get out of here, man, before I start joking around too much. So, I hope you all have a good year. Dead serious. Make sure you prepare for the challenges that's going to come your way in the future. But in the meantime, just keep praising and thanking God in the secret place, man. Just keep on doing it, man. It don't matter where you are, at work, in the car. It just don't matter, man. He said what you do in secret, he'll reward you openly for. What you do in secret, he'll reward you openly. And prepare a table before you in the presence of your enemies. Those are two separate scriptures, but I just put them together like that. Yep. But it ain't about enemies and people and, let's remember, man, that our battle is not with flesh and blood at all. That's why when certain things transpire, when people, wrong me in certain ways, I just be like, God, I don't want, it's not necessary that you do any, I'm not really asking for you to get them back for what they did or nothing like that. I'm just asking that you just, just give me the strength and stuff like that to overcome, because I don't, I'm here to help point people towards heaven. You know what I'm saying? And, that'd be really hard to do if I'm sitting around wanting everybody to pay for what they done. I don't want people to pay for what they did. Just move me out of the situation or strengthen me with the weapons I need to fight my way through this. Actually, he's done that already, but I can choose. I can choose to slip away or I could choose to fight. Jesus said if I wanted to, my Father could have sent legions of angels to my rescue. There's nothing you can do to me that, there's no power you have over me that wasn't already given to you by my Father. If I wanted to,